You bought this high-rise condo just to live with me. That's quite a choice for you. Well, I guess I can't avoid it now. I'll live with you then. That's great. Stop sulking and let's start getting along together, all three of us from today. What on earth are these two talking about? The individuals in front of me are my ex-husband and former mother-in-law. Yes, we've been divorced for some time now. My former mother-in-law, who claims she did everything for my sake, has always had an egocentric personality, never considering how burdened I felt, always dumping cooking and cleaning responsibilities on me. And my ex-husband, likely influenced by his upbringing, is just as self-centered. That's why I chose to divorce. I moved without disclosing my new address to either of them, yet here they are, somehow at my new place. Soon, I would discover a surprising fact. My name is Madison. I'm a 34-year-old career woman. I've been with the same company since graduation, excelling in the sales department where I now lead several projects. I became so engrossed in the thrill of work that years slipped by without a thought for marriage or boyfriends. Finding satisfaction in achieving results and climbing the ranks without interest in shopping sprees or luxury, I diligently saved my salary and bonuses. Before I knew it, I was over 30, but neither my parents nor I felt any urgency about it, as I was thoroughly enjoying my life. Then, a certain encounter dramatically altered my life. At a college reunion I attended, I bumped into Steve, who had been in the same seminar as me years ago. Although we hadn't been particularly close during our college days, sitting next to each other at the reunion, we discovered that we worked for companies that collaborated with each other. Steve was handling legal affairs for a top-tier company. From discussing work, our conversations shifted to how we mentored our juniors and eventually delved into our personal lives. Finding a deep connection, Steve and I began meeting privately from that day onward and eventually started dating. Throughout our relationship, Steve was incredibly kind and a great listener, which brought me comfort and added motivation to excel at work. Less than 6 months into our relationship, we decided to tie the knot. My colleagues, friends, and even my parents were taken aback to hear that a workaholic like me was getting married, but they enthusiastically celebrated our union at a modest chapel wedding. I never envisioned myself in a wedding gown just months earlier, but the pinnacle of this marital bliss was on our wedding day itself. With limited experience in love, I harbored naive dreams about married life, but reality soon proved harsh. On a rare day off, I fell ill and was confined to bed. Steve expressed concern, saying, "Just rest. I'm hungry though. I'll be in the living room playing games." With dizziness and a pounding headache, I sensed something amiss but could only lie there. As I dozed off, my phone rang. "Mom, what's up?" No, I'm okay. It was my mother-in-law calling. "Madison isn't feeling well." Even from the bedroom, I could hear Steve's voice. "Oh really? Don't worry, I'll tell her to get up right away." "Yes, I'll wait." It appeared my mother-in-law intended to visit. Despite discussing my health, she planned to come over, and Steve seemed fine with it. He even suggested waking me up. I could have forced myself to get up, but I needed rest on my day off to recover. Even though Madison isn't feeling well, I couldn't shake my disappointment with Steve's acceptance of the visit. "Madison, hurry up. Mom's coming over soon." She said it'll only be a short visit, and it'd be rude to turn her away. "Come out and say hello to Mom. You're free anyway, right?" "Didn't I say I'm not feeling well and want to stay in bed?" "It'll be fine, just for a little while." What's right about this situation? Even so, if my mother-in-law is coming over, it's not like I, as her daughter-in-law, can stay in bed. I had been bedridden since morning, so no cleaning had been done. Last night's dinner mess, the cluttered living room, and even the laundry had been left untouched. Steve never lifts a finger to help with the housework. Somehow, I managed to muster the strength to get up and clean and tidy up in the hour before my mother-in-law arrived. All the while Steve continued playing his games, seemingly unaffected. It's quicker to do it myself than to be slowed down by his half-hearted help, but I wish he had at least made the gesture of offering to help. By the time I had done the bare minimum cleaning and readied myself, my mother-in-law arrived. Steve greeted her warmly. "Mom wants tea. It's almost lunchtime, so could you take care of lunch for me and Mom? You're going to eat, right, Mom?" "Yes, I'll have some. I brought your favorite strawberry cake for dessert, so let's enjoy it together." And just like that, no consideration was given to how I was feeling. The conversation between my husband and mother-in-law unfolded as if I wasn't there, and I sat beside them, enduring the headache and dizziness. In the end, My mother-in-law didn't leave even by evening, staying for dinner too. I started preparing without showing any irritation. Finally, after she left for an appointment with her friends in the evening, I collapsed into bed without exchanging a word with Steve or cleaning up. From the beginning, Steve always prioritized his mother, often putting her wishes first. With his father already passed away, he would express concern. "I'm worried about Mom. She must be lonely," and frequently visit her place. He also never missed a chance to give her seasonal gifts. Initially, I found his care for his mother endearing, but I soon realized my mistake. His mother always came first, her word was law, and the number of nights he spent at her place steadily increased. It was always about Mom. With Mom, for Mom, whatever it was, it revolved around her. Yes, Steve was what you might call a mama's boy. Comparisons between me and his mother became routine. Moreover, every outing seemed to end at her house. Just 6 months into our marriage, my husband was already neglecting me, spending all his free time with his mother. His mother seemed to excessively dote on her son, and despite dreaming of a happy married life, I found myself increasingly alone as her presence overshadowed our relationship. There was a clear reason why my mother-in-law couldn't let go of her son: money. She had a serious spending habit, not just on coffee or outings with friends, but on lavish travels and designer shopping sprees. As a result, she frequently turned to Steve for financial support. "I just need $2,000 this month," she'd say shamelessly, and Steve would always hand it over without question. Soon enough, her demands for money began affecting me too. "Madison, I need you to come up with $4,000 by tomorrow." "What? What on earth do you need $4,000 for?" "I have a trip planned for next month, so I'm counting on you." It was a demand I had never heard even from my own parents. Raised with strict principles about borrowing and lending money, I was shocked by her assumption that not paying it back was the norm. "That's out of the question. I'm not giving you a single penny," I stood firm. "I'm not asking for charity." "Don't be so tight-fisted." "Fine, Steve will give it to me." Every time she asked, Steve would simply give in. That was why she doted on him so much. "Mom needs help. It's only right to lend a hand," was Steve's response whenever I raised concerns. "Steve earns well, and we both work, so we each contribute a set amount each month and manage our own finances. Beyond that, I have no idea how much Steve saves or what he spends it on, but what started with a few $100s for his mom has now ballooned into thousands. There could be financial dealings going on that I'm not aware of. If this continues, it could seriously impact our household finances." "Hey Steve, don't you think we should increase our savings each month, especially considering our future and potentially having children? And eventually, I'd like us to buy our own home. If I had that kind of money, I'd give it to my mom." "Madison, you should also contribute and help my mom out each month," he insisted. "I doubt he's saving anything. To my mother-in-law, I'm just an unpaid maid when I visit." The house left by my father-in-law is impressive and spacious. I've taken on everything from cooking and cleaning to gardening and window washing. Despite being married, I complied without complaint. "Madison, I hate to keep asking, but my legs are getting weak, and I can't clean anymore." "She's out and about every day. What is she even saying?" I smiled politely at my mother-in-law, thinking this to myself: she just enjoys bossing me around. My oblivious husband neither helps me nor sees the need to, convinced instead that his mother is tawning me up to be a good wife. Then Steve said something unbelievable. "It seems like Madison's mom didn't have much time to take care of her, teach her how to clean or cook. Will you teach her the ropes?" "Sure. My parents ran a rice mill back home and were busy every day. But even so, my mom always made time for me and my dad too. They could have had me help out, being an only child and all, but they let me play and pursue my interests. Children aren't tools for labor. Do what you love, they always say." So different from my mother-in-law. Finally, I stood up to Steve for the sake of my parents who cried tears of joy at our wedding, and for my own sake. "What are you talking about? My mom took great care of me." "Don't you think there's something wrong with what your mom is saying? Can someone who's too frail to clean go out and travel every day? She's just shoving her housework onto me. I refuse to do your family's chores anymore. I don't want to come here again." The response I got from Steve was filled with anger. "How can you say such awful things about my mom? She's just trying to make you into a proper wife. You're demonizing her without a shred of gratitude. If you're going to talk like that, we might as well get a divorce." With that, Steve yelled, shocking me, pulled out a divorce paper from his bag, filled it out, and threw it at me. How about that? I'm serious. If you apologize to me and my mom, maybe I'll forgive you. If you don't want to get divorced, apologize right now. That's right, you be the one in trouble if Steve left you. Apologize now. He's rooted in old-fashioned values. In his world, a wife is below her husband and mother-in-law, expected to obey their every command. Standing up to one's husband is unthinkable. He assumes that threatening divorce will make a wife beg with tears and apologize. But I was certain this marriage was no longer bringing me happiness, nor was it going to get any better. Seeing me silent, Steve smirked and tucked the divorce paper back into his bag. Reflect on this while I'm away on my business trip. The next day, as Steve left for his trip, he left the divorce paper on the table. I didn't waste any time. I signed my name and ran to the courthouse to file it right away. Then, I called my job and took some urgent personal days to start reverting to my maiden name and sorting out my affairs. I wanted to wrap up as much as possible while Steve was away. On the day the divorce was finalized, Steve came home. I've already filed for divorce, I said when I handed him the envelope from the city hall. His face turned bright red with anger, and he yelled, "Do you really want to put us through all this trouble? Divorce isn't something you just do on a whim. Submitting a divorce paper just because you didn't get your way is beyond a joke. It's too much." It seemed like he thought I had filed for divorce on a mere whim. I decided to play along with his words. "Well, it's because you always prioritize your mom over me. I'm never a part of the conversation, even when we're all together. I'm always alone, feeling lonely. Why do you exclude me?" Although I was only pretending to sulk, it seemed to have an effect on him. He loves it when women appear to be needy towards him. Despite my bold actions, I must have appeared like a seasoned actress to him. My husband, completely taken in by my performance, cheerfully agreed to a financial settlement that was advantageous to me. He believes that once I've calmed down, we can simply remarry and return to our old life. But my feelings for him have faded. I divorced him to take care of myself. There's no going back to life with him. Regarding the typically contentious matter of financial settlement in a divorce, my husband didn't contest it and allowed it to end in my favor. Once everything was settled, I moved out of the house. During my search for a new place, I fell in love with a high-rise condo near my workplace and after careful consideration, decided to purchase it. It's a fresh start in life. I wanted some luxury in my home to enjoy my solitude, which is exactly what I'm doing now. After a day at work, I returned home to my own space with no one to care for or accommodate. I've resumed my old hobby of knitting. I brew my favorite tea and knit before bed, which is truly relaxing and enjoyable. Then one day, my ex-husband and former mother-in-law appeared at my condo. Of course, I hadn't given them my address. I hesitated over the intercom, unable to find the right words as my mother-in-law caused a scene at the entrance, calling out my name. Reluctantly, to avoid disturbing my neighbors, I let them in through the front door. "How did you find out where I live?" "Oh, we hired a private investigator. We forgot to ask you where you moved. We were worried about how you were doing, and Mom had it looked into," he said, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. After a divorce, there was no way I would have told them where I moved, yet here they were, invading my privacy with a private investigator. A chill ran down my spine. I desperately tried to think of a way to get rid of this mother and son. Despite her age, my mother-in-law acted like a young girl, shamelessly peering into my home, craning her neck and squatting to get a better look. Just as I was about to reprimand her, she unexpectedly blurted out something. "It's not as bad as I imagined. Did you buy this high-rise condo to live with me? You picked a nicer place than I thought. Well, I guess I'll have to move in with you then. Great, no more sulking from today on. We'll all live together happily," my ex-husband chimed in with a grin. What? What is she talking about? Moving in here? I was dumbfounded. The idea of them suggesting to live with me hadn't crossed my mind, and I couldn't fathom why they would propose such a thing. I stood there pondering how to respond, unsettled by the unnerving smile on my mother-in-law's face and the beaming grin of my ex-husband beside her. "I absolutely refuse. Please leave immediately. I don't expect your forgiveness. We are strangers now. Our connection is over. Please do not return," I replied firmly. My ex-husband seemed taken aback, evidently expecting me to agree. "What? Why? You're serious? Didn't you buy this place wanting to live with Mom? Please don't say such things. I thought I was doing this for your sake." Clearly, they anticipated a different response. Their surprise at my rejection was evident. Whatever misunderstandings you have, I don't know, but I bought this condo for myself. Please stop making assumptions, I clarified. I'm offering you my forgiveness, my ex-husband retorted. In his mind, I was stubbornly causing trouble. His demeanor turned arrogant, as if forgiving me was a favor. If things stay like this, you'll end up alone here for the rest of your life. You know you'll be alone forever. Yes, that's what I want. You're not welcome in my home. Please leave. We are no longer family. It's over. Do not return, I reiterated firmly. But my ex-husband seemed unwilling to accept my stance. He viewed me as stubborn and refused to understand my words. Disregarding my objections, he pushed past me and entered the house as I tried to close the door. Being pushed by my ex-husband, a man I couldn't resist, I stumbled into the hallway and let out an involuntary scream. Shortly after, a neighbor opened their door, alarmed by the noise. My ex-husband and his mother hurried inside, looking perplexed. I asked the neighbor, "Please call the police," I pleaded. "What are you talking about?" he said. "For me, this is trespassing. I called 911 myself. Please come quickly." Since the call came from the same place, a police car arrived promptly. "Come in," the neighbor said kindly, letting me into the entrance and locking the door to protect me from my ex-husband. "Are you okay?" they asked gently. Meanwhile, my ex-husband banged on the door violently, shouting, "No, it's not like that. I'm her husband. I just came to visit my wife." My mother-in-law was also furious in the hallway. "Hey, don't touch my mom. Madison, say something. Because you wouldn't even tell us your address, we had to dig it up ourselves. You not only tarnished my son's reputation, but you're treating me terribly too. What a horrible daughter-in-law you are. Apologize right now." Their loud voices echoed through the hallway. Since it was a weekend morning, many residents were likely at home. Doors began to open one by one, and the commotion drew onlookers out into the hall. Luckily for me, despite being new to the apartment complex, I had always made an effort to attend meetings and was known for my consideration despite my youth. Consequently, I had already established a trusting relationship with the other residents, despite the disturbance caused by my ex-husband's sudden appearance. I wasn't shunned. Instead, everyone was kind, asking if I was okay and if I needed help. Based on the testimonies from neighbors and other residents, my ex-husband and his mother were taken away by the police for trespassing. Despite the inconvenience, the neighbor who called the police said, "I work in the legal field, so I know a lawyer who specializes in stalking cases. I'll introduce you." And true to his word, he did. Reflecting on it, my ex-husband used to work in legal affairs, yet he seems completely oblivious to the laws he's breaking. I doubt he'll ever realize it. A few weeks after the incident, an old friend from college contacted me. She mentioned seeing my ex-husband happily walking with a young child and asked when he had become a father. Since I hadn't told her about my divorce, she assumed the child was mine. It hasn't been long since the incident. Could it be that my husband, supposed to be reconciling with me, has already found a new partner? That's his choice, and it's no concern of mine. If he does have a new partner, perhaps his obsession with me will fade. But a young child caught my attention. Would my mother-in-law ever approve of a relationship with a woman who already has children? I instructed my attorney to conduct further investigations into his background. A reputable detective agency engaged by the law firm took on the task. What they uncovered was shocking. My ex-husband had been cheating on me long before our divorce. Despite my feelings having long since faded, I never imagined he betrayed me from the beginning. All those weekends he spent with his mother, ostensibly fulfilling family obligations, were likely cover for seeing his mistress. His mother's behavior seemed to corroborate his story, leaving me with no reason to doubt him. But in reality, he was deceiving me. My heart churned with turmoil. To my ex-husband, every woman is beneath him except his mother, who reigns supreme in his life. He seems to think it's acceptable to disrespect or belittle any other woman, including his wife, while maintaining appearances. The revelation of my ex-husband's ongoing affair, coupled with his insistence on reconciling with me while maintaining his relationship with his mistress, reflects his skewed perspective. As I digested the investigative report, it became clear that despite having no intentions of marriage, he misled his mistress with promises of a future, keeping her hopeful and the affair alive. Then there's the young child I learned about, my ex-husband's legitimate child with his mistress. He had been leading a double life, maintaining two families simultaneously with a child born during our marriage. The report left me feeling more sickened than saddened or enraged. Acting on my attorney's advice, I swiftly pivoted to filing for damages due to the affair, a legal action allowable within 3 years of discovering infidelity. There was no room for dwelling on emotions. My feelings for him had long evaporated, and I couldn't afford to waste any more time on such deceit. I methodically prepared my case while simultaneously pursuing damages from his mistress for her role in the affair. Learning of my ex-husband's audacity, seeking reconciliation with me while implying marriage to his mistress, filled me with fury. I'll pursue charges for marriage fraud. He'll never see that child again, I resolved. I had expected tearful nights, yet I discovered he had siphoned a substantial sum from me under false pretenses, ostensibly for their wedding fund. Unsurprisingly, the money found its way into my mother-in-law's hands, feeding her insatiable spending habits. Steve's attempt to placate his mother amidst our turmoil involved fulfilling her dream of an extravagant overseas cruise. He spared no expense, booking the finest accommodations. Emily uncovered this misappropriation and swiftly added fraud charges to the legal saga, demanding reparations for the affair, child support, and now, financial deception. My ex-husband, always dependent on his mother for money, had no savings to speak of. His financial troubles escalated to the point where their grand family home was seized, yet his debts continued to mount. After paying me damages in a lump sum, we became completely estranged. However, Emily's situation with my ex differs slightly because they share a young child. He had initially agreed to pay child support monthly, but those payments soon fell into arrears. Emily, furious at his negligence, stormed into his workplace and exposed everything. Despite ongoing legal battles, he had also been engaging in misconduct with female colleagues, which he had kept hidden amidst his fraud trial. Emily's confrontation led to his swift demotion to a less prominent role, and unable to endure the whispers and shame, he resigned on his own. With debts looming and child support obligations unmet, he desperately sought new employment. However, his tainted reputation, compounded by fraud charges, made it impossible for him to secure even an interview. Realizing his dire situation, he now juggles 3 physically demanding jobs, pushing himself to the limit with little rest. Meanwhile, his mother, witnessing her son's legal and financial downfall, disappeared to avoid any entanglement. Abandoning him completely, she left him to face his troubles alone. His mother's own financial woes grew as her reckless spending caught up with her. Without a stable home and burdened by mounting debts, she resorted to borrowing but struggled to keep up with repayments, now under scrutiny from less than savory creditors. In contrast, I immersed myself in my role as a sales manager, taking on challenging projects and achieving remarkable results. With newfound independence, I also found time to pursue further studies. My expertise garnered the trust of clients, leading to a substantial increase in company sales. Recognized for my contributions, I earned a promotion to the company's first female executive, with prospects for further advancement on the horizon. Despite these achievements, I remain grounded. While friends suggest blind dates, I decline, preferring to focus on my hobbies and educational pursuits. Embracing my newfound single life, I am determined to live on my terms, pursuing what I love and maintaining my dignity. I look forward to a future where mutual respect is possible with someone special. I quietly reflect, keeping that hope close to my heart for now.